Big salute, big salute, big salute. Get my phone, sit up here right, y'all. Get my phone, sit up here right. Dang, it won't get right. Hold on, let me see. Okay, there we go. Big salute, big salute, big salute, everybody. My support goons, support squad, my loved ones. Big salute, big salute. Early morning read. You know what time it is. Early morning read. Look, I was gonna do this last chapter, some more questions and answers. They are important, but you know, I want to get straight to the juice. I know y'all got questions and Black Roots got answers, but this next chapter, I cheated. I read a little bit, and then I was like, dang, the chapter after the questions is the destiny of Yakub. Boy, let's get into this. Let's get into this. Oh my God. My Hebrew Israelite brothers, I don't know if y'all know about this. Please forgive me if y'all feel a certain way. Let's get into it. Yakub was born in 4770 BC. He was an only child. He was introverted, preferring to spend time alone with his thoughts rather than in the company of other children. But at the same time, he was not lonely. He had a very creative imagination and was always inventing new games and toys for his playmates. Although he preferred his own company, he nonetheless had many friends. Other children wanted to be around him. He was very intelligent and entertaining, and very pleasant to be with. In order to please both the requirement of being with some other children who demanded his friendship and to also have time for himself, he trained himself to sleep very little, even as a young boy. By the time he was 11 years old, he slept for only 5 or 6 hours a day, which was enough for him, whereas most other children would sleep the full 8 to 10 hours a day. He spent the extra hours each night deeply involved in his own thoughts. He thought about every conceivable thing that entered his imagination. No thought or subject was taboo to his mind. He was comforted by the privacy of his own thoughts, believing that in that realm no one could intrude. By the time he was 14 years old, he had thought about and solved many of the psychological problems that still plague most youths concerning dynamics of friendship, child-adult relations, and the place of a child in society, and so on. In other words, all the problems that led youths into the state of rebellion against adults and society that came with adolescence, adolescence, adolescence. By the time of puberty, he had discovered the power of his inner self and was already at peace with his position as an individual growing up in a highly sophisticated culture. Man, oh man. He had no reason to indulge in those acts of rebellion that many others his age felt a need for in order to establish their power and position as members of a community. It was this very calm composure that actually led him to go much deeper than any youth before into diagnosing the state of his culture at that time, and as it had been throughout history. He had total respect for the wisdom of his teachers and parents and other adults, and yet at the same time he felt that his inner power was soon to to overshadow all that he was being taught. He potentially learned all that the customs and rituals of his tribe presented to all youth, while strongly feeling that when his time came, he was destined to change all of it. He felt this calling of destiny to the very depth of his marrow. He met his soulmate for the first time when he was 9 years of age. He had been told about her when he was 6 years old, but had not had the opportunity to meet and play with her as was customary with most soulmates who grew up with each other right from childhood. She lived in a distant town. Her nickname was Maitseye, Maitseye, which means Miss Manners. Maitseye, which means Miss Manners. She was a very serious, elderly young girl, always chiding her friends when she thought they were misbehaving. She was the exact opposite of Yakub, who was a free spirit, concerned only with the essence of things and not so much the details. So she provided a side to him that was missing, and he to her as well. All the original ideas that Yakub came up with, it was Metzi who filled in all the necessary details. They were ideal complements of each other. Metzi was 2 years younger than Yakub. They reached puberty at the same time when Yakub was 14 and she was 12. They had sex for the first time that year at the end of her at the end of their rites of puberty. It was during this sexual union that Yakub's mission of destiny congealed, Congealed, and became crystal clear in his mind. He and his soulmate achieved loving unity of mind at the climax of their physical union. Their minds became one, and all that was missing in his ideas and inspirations was suddenly fulfilled and clarified as a result of the love that bonded them close. When the climax subsided, both of them were completely changed. They had grown so much in mind and heart in that the moment, and the transformation from childhood to adulthood was so total that many people swore that even their physical features were different. Their stature certainly changed. They now walked as two who no longer speculated or heard but knew. Oh man. The people of the town had indeed expected that these two, as the leaders of their youth regiments, would indeed excel in their rites of passage from youth to adulthood. This was always the case with the boy and the girl who became regiment leaders. The one for the boys' regiment and the other for the girls. But what happened to these two took even the teachers by surprise. It is usually the case, but not always, that the regiment leaders of each year are soulmates, and after their initiation, they are expected to marry and begin their training to eventually become co leaders in some capacity in the tribe. But in the case of Yakub and Matzi, when their initiation was over, the teachers called a tribal meeting and announced that the tribe should not expect for these two to become their future leaders. They announced that the gods had other plans for them. They were to get they were to engage in something so sublime and new that had never been seen before in the history of the tribe. This was quite exciting news, something that had never been heard before. There was a great anticipation, built up all around the towns, as people had no idea what this new thing was that was to come to their tribe. They had no idea that it would affect not only their tribe but the whole world. Oh man. Oh man. This thing get deep, y'all. Yakub and Metzi were married several months after the end of their initiation festival of puberty. Their wedding festival was one of the most well attended in their region, coming close to that of a prince and princess. And all this is due to the anticipation about their unknown mission. Shortly after their wedding, Yakub and Metzi began recruiting followers. They started teaching a new doctrine, one never heard before. Essentially, they taught that the way of life of their ancestors throughout their entire history had been one that had limited the people's freedom. They shocked the people with this new teaching, claiming that the peace and prosperity their ancestors had known throughout all history was due to the fact that they were not allowed to express their total freedom to create. He claimed and proved to those who would listen that there were certain realities in our imagination as well as our bodies that were deliberately suppressed by the leaders, especially the 24 elders. He said that the elders were responsible for and were the custodians of all that was taught in the initiation. Hence, they had the power to withhold certain realities from the people. Realities that, if they were known, the people would clearly see that what they thought of and took for granted as their freedom was not truly so. It was a form of oppression whereby they were denied the knowledge of certain aspects of the mind and body. Oh man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Oh, it's getting deep. It's getting deep. It's getting deep. So we're going to break right there and we're going to continue back. Ooh, to be continued. Mm, mm, mm. Ooh.